I was fortunate enough to be born, raised, and live my life in Springfield, a city that will always, in some sense, remain suspended in time back to when its favorite son carried the responsibility of leading this nation. To live in Springfield is to live in the shadow of Abraham Lincoln and to understand something about the origin of his greatness. Lincoln did not lead by force or by the supremacy of his command, but with humility, patience, and compassion. History tells us that he was always quick to put others at ease and uncomfortable with the ceremonial frills of the office he held. He labored under an incredible burden as a wartime commander-in-chief, but took the time to write compassionate letters sparing the lives of soldiers who faced the death penalty for desertion. And by recognizing the humanity of the millions of enslaved people in the United States, he altered the course of our nation for the better. In more recent decades, we've begun to call that approach servant leadership, the notion that a leader should be a servant first, putting the needs of others above his own. Lincoln lived out that philosophy long before it had a name. If he were here, I'm sure he'd tell us all that he did not accomplish these things alone. And for me, it's the same. I would not be here without the encouragement and support of my family. My thanks to my wife, Sharon, my mother, Jean, and her husband, Art, my father, Edgar, my sister, Nancy, my son, Stephen, my daughter, Susan, and my son-in-law, Mike. I'm also honored that so many of my colleagues and friends have joined me here for this ceremony. To undergo this journey with people whom I admire, respect, and trust has been a gift, and I have learned so much from each of you along the way. To all of you here in support of me tonight, I appreciate you being a part of the fabric of my life. Thank you for making me a better man. And I thank Governor Pritzker, Chancellor Marshall, officers, regent, Lincoln laureates, and trustees of the Academy for the honor you have conferred on me this evening. It is a humbling one because it comes with a challenge, the challenge of living up to Abraham Lincoln's example. President Lincoln showed us that servant leadership is a powerful thing because it has the potential to transform the world as we know it, to build relationships, strengthen trust, and alter lives. But servant leadership is not a management technique or an end goal. It's not something you can accomplish or achieve. Instead, it's something you live out every moment of your life, even during moments of pain and struggle. And now, as Lincoln often did, I want to tell you a brief story. After 40 years in healthcare, I could tell you many stories about lives saved or about innovative treatments and amazing cures, but instead I'm going to tell you about a life that ended and a woman whose death should be an inspiration to us all. Lisa was a kindergarten teacher in our community for more than 30 years. She could turn a quick stop at the grocery store into an hour-long visit because in aisle after aisle she encountered former students eager to tell her about their life, their loves, their successes and sorrows, and how her kindness and patience had helped shape their adult lives. The book titled, All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten, sums up the value of Lisa's role in her students' lives. I had the privilege of being friends with Lisa and her husband Todd for many years. And like her family and friends, I was devastated to learn she had developed cancer. For more than 2.5 years, I watched her battle cancer while enduring surgeries, chemotherapy, radiation oncology, and many hospitalizations and outpatient visits. I saw how deeply and selflessly our healthcare community cared for her, and I saw how deeply and selflessly she in turn cared for them. I watched as her husband held her hand through hours of treatments, how her children did everything they could to help occupy her mind and her time, and how her family and friends rallied around her through the highs and lows of what would be her toughest years on earth. So many people came forward in an effort to return to Lisa some of the love and care she had shown them. It was a display of how the servant leader who had dedicated her life to others became the one being served. I can only pray when the good Lord decides my time has come, that he blesses me with a circle of support filled with compassion, grace, and love. Because in the end, it's not about professional endeavors or personal victories. It's not education or credentials. It's not accomplishments or accolades. That is not what matters most. When we are left with the great task of fulfilling the example set for us by President Abraham Lincoln and the charge found in Matthew chapter 25 to live the life of the good and faithful servant. I am humbled to be included in the class of 2019 laureates, and I will continue to work every day to live up to the values of Lincoln, who embodied and encouraged others to do the same. I challenge you today to join me in that undertaking as we form a community committed to living a life of service to others. Thank you.